Chris, your first day here officially on the job now. How does that feel?
Feels amazing. It's a privilege to be here. It's my hometown club. Grew up in the town, born in the town, grew up in the town, and like I say, to be part of the club now is absolutely fantastic.
You mentioned that you're born and bred in Burnley, part of a dynasty, I suppose, given that your dad is, I'm going to call him a legend, both as a player and as a manager. Charlie's here as well, learning his trade here at Burnley Football Club. Was there maybe something written in the stars that you might one day end up here yourself?
Maybe, yeah. It's maybe fate that I've followed in the footsteps of my dad and my son as well. So he's been here for 8 years as well, Charlie, coming up. My dad was here for over 20 years. And like you say, probably rightly so, is a club legend. And it's like I say, it seems a bit surreal really now that I'm here, and it's a bit of a cliche I suppose, but a dream come true I suppose, yeah.
We were just having a chat down, looking out onto the training pitches, and they are magnificent, very different than when, well, I was saying, go back 10 years, very different, even back as far as your dad's time. What are your memories as being a lad of being here?
My first memories was the pitch up at the top. So my dad was the youth team coach, so he used to bring me on a Saturday morning, watch the youth team play. That was when I was about 4 or 5, and then I've just shown the staff, so part of my presentation there, when we won the league in 81-82, I was fortunate to have the photograph with the league trophy with my dad, and the photograph was taken just behind the building there as well. So fond memories and a bit of nostalgia there. And then when I was at United, we played, I was 16, played over the far side. The pitch was like knee deep in mud. Played on Saturday morning. It was an A-team game against a good Burnley team as well. I think Roger Eli played and 1 or 2 others. So it was a tough game, but a good game. And now it's an unbelievable facility and fantastic training ground, yeah.
Are all those parts of the reason why you came here? I'm sure there's more to it as well. When you were offered the job, or when you came to talk to them, what was it that you thought? It's more than just, you don't come on memories, do you? What was the extra X factor here?
I think when I look at the role that I've done at Salford over the last coming up 8 years as well, this fitted perfectly for my further development, because I've seen the way that the club's been going over the last 10-15 years. Like I say, not just the training ground, but the progression of the club into the Premier League, been sustaining in the Premier League for how many years? 8-9 years, and then hopefully we get back into the Premier League this year. So when I spoke with Paul about the role, told me about the ambition of the club and things like that, and I said I'd seen it from a distance, but over the last 8 years, 9 years, since, especially like I say, since Charlie's been here, I've seen the way it's gone from a Category 3 club to Category 2, then Category 1, and hopefully we get back into Category 1 next year. That's the main ambition and aim of the academy. So
tell us about your experience. I know people will know all about you, and as we were saying before, you were involved as a player coming through an academy, and arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest academies on the planet, and the pressures that come with it. So, and then from on, as you've mentioned about your experience at Salford, what can you bring in terms of that? What did you learn that you can bring here, not just in terms of your role, but also that you can pass on?
Well, probably the first thing was at United that we had an unbelievable leader in Sir Alex Ferguson, who obviously was a manager, and he basically ran the club from top to bottom, including the youth team as well. Took a great pride in the youth team and the development of young players. He brought in, or we had, unbelievable staff like Eric Harrison. He was probably the best youth coach that the country's had, and more successful anyway. And then you got a connection with the club with Nobby Stiles, obviously European Cup winner, World Cup winner, Brian Kidd, European Cup winner, League Championship winner, etc. Blah de blah. So there was that culture ingrained and within the players, but the most important thing, and again speaking with the staff before, what I will bring, what I've learned is it's about standards, about discipline, it's about behaviours, it's about doing the right thing, being humble. Whether you're Man United, whether you're at Burnley, Salford, wherever, these things are an absolute given. They're non-negotiable. They cost nothing. It's to treat people right, to be on time, to be punctual, like I say, to appear right, to speak to people in the right way. I think's massively important. And then, from a playing perspective, it was pretty simple at Man United. It was, and I always remember Nobby Stiles, one of the first coaching sessions was, if you see a red shirt, pass it to them and move into space. Give it, that, and it was simple. Obviously, there was a bit more to it than that in the end, but it was just the basic stuff of working hard, passing the ball, beating your opponent, putting the ball at risk in the last third, especially taking risk, passing the ball forward, like I say, passing, running, all those kind of things that ultimately Man United were famous for, for years and years and years. They had skillful players as well, and so we've got to try and get that fine balance of, getting skillful players into the team, but also they need to work hard. They need to have that discipline about the game. They need to have that discipline on the field and off the field as well. And already you can see this club has that. It's got an abundance of class and standards already. It'll stem from the manager. It stemmed from the previous manager, and the manager before that, Sean. Sean's got the club have got a lot to be thankful to Sean as well about the way that he drove the club forward. Obviously, Vincent was highly successful in his first year, and I think the manager now can really kick the club forward as well and keep it moving forward. So as a Burnley lad as well, and from being involved in football your entire life and being a fan, not just here but just of football in general, I think you'll appreciate as much as anyone the transition from, whether it be a local lad or an academy lad at least anyway, getting into that first team and exactly what it means, not just to the club but to the fans as well. Absolutely. I think one of the things at United, I remember when we first started to kind of come on the scene, so to speak, when we were 16, 17, we'd play at the Cliff, the training ground, and there'd probably be about 30, 40 people there, probably most of our parents and one or two others. And by the end of the season, there's probably about 300 or 400 on the pitch, and then so it's probably, the interest in the community and the fans, and that started to swell from there. And the one thing about the fans is that they all want to see young local players coming through because they see themselves in them. They see the passion they've got for the club, see the hard work that they'll give them. They'll see the honesty. I'm not saying other players don't, but when it's one of their own, they give them that little bit more. There's no question about that, and it's really important. And like I say, we've got to try and improve our productivity, would say, into our first team. That's ultimately what the role's about. But they've got to be good enough as well. The manager's got, he's got to, if he's got an opportunity to pick a young player, they have to be good enough. So that's our role as an academy, to prepare the lads as much as possible.
To just finally then, because I know you're desperate to get in there and get cracking as well, what do you want to achieve? What can you achieve here at Burnley?
Like I say, that productivity, more young players into the first team, young homegrown players. That's ultimately what we're trying to achieve. The real short term is to make sure that we get Category 1 status for next year, which will be massive with regard to recruitment of players, recruitment of games program will be massive. You're then playing against elite players, so you're judging yourself against elite, and it becomes a better games program, more competitive. So that's a real short-term one, and then over the next few years is to embed those programs into the academy, and ultimately we want to make it a self-sustaining business where we give value to the club. We're providing the first team players with good players instead of, Alan and the board having to go out and buy players. They're coming through free from us, and ultimately that's and become, like I say, self-sustaining, where that's the value that we're adding to the club, that we're giving them, the good players and the right players as well that they're looking for.
I know you don't need it, but I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to working with you for a long time to come.
Hopefully, mate. Yeah. Thank you.
Chris.